now.
Pro-Palestinian groups protesting on Ohio State's campus, trying to push the university into boycotting Israel. Thanks for joining us this noon. I'm Nicole Versansky. College campuses across the United States filled Israel-Hamas war protesters, and Ohio is not immune. Arrests on the Ohio State University campus last night. You just saw some of that video. 19 News anchor Brian Duffy joining us now with more on this story.
Nicole, good afternoon. On Friday afternoon, it had started as a peaceful protest, but there had been peaceful protests leading up to last evening that saw the tone quickly change and ended in arrests. And late last evening and into the morning, when protesters tried to set up an encampment on the South Oval in the middle of campus, that's when the problems started.
Attention, you are under arrest for criminal trespass. You are to leave the area immediately.
Police, including Ohio State Highway Patrol troopers, trying to get control of a situation that appeared to be on the brink of turning into a full-scale riot. The peaceful protest did not last long into the evening hours, as the pushing and shoving that you see here eventually led to this: arrests on the campus. The encampment the protesters were trying to set up was near the student union, but a campus spokesperson told CBS that university policy prohibits camping and requires a space reservation for gatherings. As announcements made by Bullhorn about people in the area being under arrest, police began backing those words up, as there were apparently more than a dozen people led away in handcuffs. All right, at this point, it is unclear exactly how many people were actually arrested, but anyone facing charges, at least according to a university spokesperson, would be charged with criminal trespass.